Okay. Hello, everyone. It looks like I'm back. I'm having a hard time with this camera. Hi.
Hi. Okay. So did we? Looks like Joe came back, but then I got booted off, and now it's just me.
I
So
believe it's just us for now. I know wordsleuth had tried to restart the live. Um, so why don't you and I will chat until we can get our guest of honor to return.
yeah. So,
Um,
Shannon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
sure. My name is Concetta Otero. My username here is the Wordy Woman 20. And I am the author of Secrets of the City of Gold. It's a retelling of the 2000 DreamWorks film The Road to El Dorado. And I have excellent news. I'm actually in the work.
We just lost you. So it looks like there are a lot of technical difficulties going on here with Instagram. Um, Hopefully we can make this work for the audience. Do apologize. But for those of you who've just tuned in, my name is Rob Sanborn. I'm an author of historical thrillers, including Prisoner of Paradise, Painter of the Damned, and a book called Master of the Abyss, which will be releasing on Tuesday. And we are waiting for Joe Woodley and Concetta Otero to get back in. So please bear with us. And here's Joe. Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this is the first time in the whole interview where we're actually together.
Okay.
So, you didn't hear before, but I am a little sick, so please excuse the raspy voice, but the show must go on. I did introduce myself to the audience before, but why don't I introduce you, since you are the guest of honor and I was the interviewee the last time. So, again, to everyone out there watching, today I'll be interviewing Joe Woodley. And Joe Woodley is an author, leadership and team development coach, and inspirational public speaker. Hopefully when he's speaking, he doesn't sound like I do currently. His specialty is equipping leaders and teams with the relationship skills and divine truths they need to flourish and navigate through the unique challenges presented in today's high-performance environments. In his own unique style, emerging from a plethora of transformative life experiences, Joe provides workshops, seminars, and other resources to emphasize the necessity of excellence in character, integrity, leadership, support care, and accountability. Joe has written over 16 books for adults and children on leadership, team development, character education, and other life empowering topics. So his latest book, which was released just a couple of weeks ago, is a delightful and empowering children's book called The Great Christmas Heist. So, Joe, welcome. It's great to have you on the show, and we want to learn all about you and your books. So we will start off with kind of a couple of basic questions. So first of all, do you write professionally? I mean, we know that you're also a leadership coach, but why don't you tell us about yourself and where the writing falls?
Absolutely. I do write professionally. As you stated, I've written over 16 books. The Great Christmas Heist is actually my 17th book. And I actually started writing because as a young man, I was extremely shy. I was an introvert. And I really did not know how to organize my thoughts. I was a thinker. And a lot of people confused me for being an athlete. I was athletic, but I was primarily a thinker. And writing became a tremendous outlet for me to be able to organize my thoughts in a constructive manner and share my feelings and my observations about the world around me. So when I was in high school, one of my high school teachers really took notice of my skill and my talent and really encouraged me to pursue that as a potential career. And it wasn't until almost 10 years later that I really got serious about it. And of course, that led to all the other avenues opening up in my life.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And by the way, where are you calling in from?
I'm actually in Ohio. I'm originally from New York. I grew up there, and I moved to Columbus, Ohio in 1998, and I was there for about 24 years. And the last year, I relocated to Shadyside, Ohio, which is on the eastern corridor along the Ohio River Valley.
Cool. I'm in Denver, Colorado right now, but I'm also from New York originally. Where in New York are you from?
Long Island, if you're familiar with Nassau County.
I sure am. Yeah, I lived there when I was a kid. I'm mostly from the city, but for my childhood, for about 6 years, I lived in Great Neck.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. I'm from Freeport.
Nice. Very cool. So great. So it's really great to meet you and get to know you. So as I mentioned before, you write in a whole wide variety of genres. Do you have a preferred style that you like?
I actually prefer writing, or primarily writing for adults, which is where, like I said, where my passion lies. I started, as a matter of fact, my first book was really about a story of redemption. The reason why I got into writing, or dadding writing in for children, was when my son was small. I was actually a single father, and my son had something going on in school called character education. And so he was saying, Dad, you're always talking to me about doing the right thing and making the right choices in life and doing something with my life. Why don't you come to school and talk to the kids about that? He was actually in first grade when he was telling me this. And so I had really focused heavily on instilling those values in him. And so with that, I created my first program, my first set of books, which were called the Hero Project. It was more like a comic type of book, and I dealt with a lot of things that I talked to adults about. And what I was really discovering is adults are nothing more than big kids, and many of the issues that a lot of adults are dealing with were issues that they had not resolved as children. And so I was able to meet people in both areas. Obviously, you're presenting the message in a way that is digestible to each particular group. But there's really a lot of the same themes: character, integrity, making the right choices, making the right decisions, and really putting a plan and design in place for your life.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And speaking of sharing, by the way, actually, I believe you wrote a short story using
Yes,
these six, improv words. So would you like to share that with us?
absolutely. Let me actually pull that up now on my laptop. I shared it with my wife the other day, and so she said, she said, okay, you are pretty talented. Uh, so let me actually pull that up here. I thought I actually had it right on my laptop. Um, but I thought about, as I'm looking for this, I thought about what I wanted to share in this, and when I saw the words, I tried to choose things that really kind of really spoke to my soul, and again, the way that I see the world around me. And so, just give me 1 second here. I'm trying to pull this up. I'm not trying to drag this on, but yeah, I really wanted to share in a way that really spoke to the world around me. So I wrote something that really had to do a lot with love and to do with life, and those things are very important to me because we've all suffered tragedy in life. We've all had heartbreak and heartache in life, and I apologize. I had it right here pulled up. I think somebody got on my computer. Oh, here we go. So this particular, I chose the words picadillo, quintillion, indubitable, amorous, ignominy, and duplicitous. And boy, how do you put together a love story based on those things? Well, I created the title of this story is actually Peccadillo. And it starts, let us call the two main characters of today's story Jack and Jill for anonymity's sake. This is not the same Jack and Jill from the nursery rhymes you remember from long ago. Jack and Jill were once good friends whose relationship was ruined when they decided to take their intimacy to the next level and become part-time lovers. Now, I must warn you of the ending before we start at the beginning, that their tale ends tragically. In a way, many of you reading or listening to this have witnessed in what may seem like several quintillion times before. Jack and Jill's story began as a tale about love, true love, not the sexual playground of duplicitous behavior polarized on soap operas, rom-com movies, so-called love-making songs, and especially not that which is often celebrated in social media. Jack and Jill loved each other in ways that most humans will never understand. Their love was sacred and pure. They held no secrets or animosity toward each other or anyone from the past. There was no fear of hurt, disappointment, or betrayal. Jack loved Jill more than he loved himself. And when Jill looked at Jack, she felt just the same. When they were with each other, their love was unselfish and satisfying. Without each other, there was a part of each's soul missing in the other. Jack and Jill were willing to give their lives for each other and were the best of friends who lived totally free. Companions of Jack and Jill would often comment on how the two were perfect for each other and would be perfect together. We've all heard about that before. Jack and Jill continued to resist the urging of their friends until they were eventually worn down and, against their better judgment, warmed up to the prospect that maybe, just maybe, there could be more than the indubitable love they shared through their bond. Things were awkward at first, but they were encouraged to just give things a little time. Unfortunately, the more time and energy they dedicated to pursuing an amorous relationship with each other, the more strained things became between them. The trust and unwavering dedication Jack and Jill had for each other began to falter. They no longer viewed each other through the lens of purity. Their open conversations became guarded and their feelings disguised. Soon, Jack and Jill realized that they had made a terrible mistake. The love they shared, the love that is so rarely seen by humanity, had been compromised, thwarted by the promise of greener grass on the mythical other side. The divine gift they had been given was violated, and that was no minor peccadillo. What hurt the most was the conclusion that there was no getting back what they had. They were convinced to trade in their purity, and what they had received in return was the ignominy of their sorrow. Jack and Jill moved forward, but they were never quite the same. All that remains are fond memories of what once was, and hopes that someday what will be will bring healing and eradicate the pain. That is my story.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice work. Love that.
Excellent.
Yeah, that goes way beyond Jack and Jill going up a hill to fetch a pail of water. It's kind of allegorical in a sense. I mean, it almost reminded me of like Adam and Eve, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I try to write in a way that people can read into it and draw from it what they need. You know, I think that that's a skill with writing, and I think it's the purpose behind writing. Just we're sharing our thoughts and our concepts and our ideas and our perspective of the world around us. But as writers, it's important that we allow people space to read into what we're writing and draw out what they need, what they can gain from it, and not provide or put in structures that inhibit their ability to grow personally.
100%. Yeah. Do you think you ever might consider expanding that into a full novel?
You know what? There is a possibility. I was pushed, excuse me, like I said earlier, I have been kind of on a little bit of a tour with this new book. And everywhere I go and I read that, people keep asking me, when are you going to write your next book? When are you going to write your next book? And so that has really reignited the that excitement in me. You know, I love writing, and as a matter of fact, I'm actually in school going for a degree in business, on top of everything else that's happening in my life. And so part of what I have to do for this particular class is I have to write, whether it's math or you name it. And I love being creative and taking thoughts and ideas in these various concepts and applying them to life. And my desire is to be an help, an aid, a guide, or whatever for people that they can better their lives. I wrote a book several years ago called You Were Born to Win, So Suck It Up, Buttercup, the essential guide to turning winners into winners and losers into leaders. And that particular book was like it was like a guide. I was taking things that I had experienced in life. It's not a thick book. It's actually a very thin book. It really does look almost like a guide. And as a matter of fact, I have it right here. So I took the concepts that I saw in life and presented them in a way that people could perceive what they needed to perceive and draw out what they needed to help them. And regardless of where people were in life, regardless of their religious background, regardless of their family life, regardless of whatever, I had so many people who came to me and said they got something out of that book, and that really blesses me as a human being. I am always encouraged when I see that I have impacted someone's life in a positive way, and that's why I write the way that I write. That's why I write on the topics that I write. I can't write just to write. Even with this here, I want people to draw something from it. I want them to draw some conclusions that will help guide them in their own decisions and in their own journey in life.
Right. That's great. And I have many more questions for you, and you actually touched on some of the questions. And but before we jump in there, Concetta, are you live with us? Because I don't see you, but I heard you before.
Yeah, no, you can't see me?
No, but maybe other people can. So, but anyway, Instagram obviously has been having technical difficulties. But why don't you tell us and the audience a little bit about yourself, actually? And I apologize for not introducing you before, because I don't even see that you're on.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Concetta Otero. My handle here is the Wordy Woman 20. Thank you, wordsleuth, for the confirmation. I appreciate that. I am the author of Secrets of the City of Gold. It's a retelling of the 2000 DreamWorks film, The Road to El Dorado. I love dabbling in folklore and adventure, romance, and exciting news. I am working on a second edition to that book because I opened the pages one day and I said, I need to redo this. So that's that. But I took like a brief hiatus, and I actually plotted out like four to five other like novel ideas. So I got some stuff in the works, but I am a copywriter and brand strategist, and I actually do want to start catering to authors and helping them expand on their, market as well, and try to help them, just figure out who they are as an author, figure out their target audience, their genre, their brand essentially. So that is me.
Where are you located? You also have a hint of a New York accent.
Yes, I am. That makes a lot of sense. So when we're all saying that you were from New York, I was actually pointing at myself, being like, "Oh my God, me too. I'm in a room of New Yorkers. Are we kidding right now? This is a family. Excuse me. This is a family reunion. Okay, I am officially I'm originally from New York, Long Island, as a matter of fact. Suffolk County represent.
Okay.
Yes, Suffolk County. West Islip. I'm sorry.
Which town? Which town?
West Islip.
West Islip, nice.
Yes, West Islip originally, but now I am tuning in live from Kissimmee, Florida. So Disney World in the backyard, you know what I mean? So I try to make it a magical experience.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, it's great to meet you. And
Pleasure to meet
yeah,
you both.
maybe my New York accent would be a little bit more prominent if I didn't sound like this right now.
It's all
But
good.
my normal voice. So anyway, so Joe, back to you. So The Great Christmas Heist. It was released about like 2.5 weeks ago, I believe. Beautiful cover. I took a peek at it. It looks like it's a really endearing and also empowering story. Why don't you please tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I wrote the book about 11 years ago, and because I was, again, making observations about life and the world around me. And what I was, in some ways, I was a little bit disturbed by the commercialism or the hyper commercialism behind the holiday. And my son, when he was small, we had a rule in our house. We were always mindful of people who maybe had less than we did. We weren't by any means wealthy. We had our own struggles, but we were always mindful of people who were around us. And with that in mind, the rule was whenever he would get a gift, because his birthday and Christmas are very close to get together. His birthday's in November, Christmas obviously in December. And so he had to make sure he took care of his things, because in order for him to get something new, what he needed to do was he needed to trade something in. He would give something to someone, and the toys were never beat up, they were never battered. So he took good care of his things. I taught him that, and to be mindful of people who have less. And what I was noticing is that there was an attitude that was really permeating throughout a lot of our society, where people were becoming more self-focused, self-centered. The holiday became a lot less about family and more about stuff, what I could get out of it. And that was filtering into a lot of the kids' mindsets about it. I don't really want to spend time with grandma, grandpa, or anybody else. What am I going to get? And so I decided, I'm going to write a book that really talks about the importance of family and friendships and relationships. But I want to do something that is really keyed into the things that inspired me growing up. Things like Dr. Seuss and The Night Before Christmas, and really something that pays homage to those particular stories, because I'm sure you two remember watching those old Rickon Brothers Christmas specials and looking at the Miracle on 34th Street, and things like that, in the mystery and the wonder of Christmas at that time. It's like, we go into the holidays now, it's like, it's just another day. But as a child, there was magic behind it, and there was joy behind it, and you were excited about the holiday, and not just about the things you're going to get, but I get to see some people that I haven't seen in a long time. And so I wrote this book to really talk about those types of relationships. And so Thomas and Claire, who are the main characters of the story, are really, in the beginning of the book, very self-focused, very self-centered, and they believe that if they could just get more gifts from the people around them, more presents, that they will eventually be happy. And so there's a lot of layers to the story, because on the other side, you have parents who are giving, thinking that the more that they give, the happier their kids will be, the more joyous their kids will be. But they find that no matter how much they get, they're not quite happy. And so they decide to hijack Santa's sleigh for Christmas, believing that that's going to finally make them happy. I was connected to an amazing illustrator. Some 11 years after writing the book, I moved to, like I said, the shady side last year, and I met a librarian, a hit librarian, who was over the library. I was doing some work there. I've been in a couple of times. She comes in and she introduces herself, and she asked me what I did. And I said, I'm a professional writer. I was a speaker. And she said, oh, really? What types of books do you write? And I told her about my books, but primarily the ones that are more for adults. And she said, oh, it's just too bad you don't write anything for kids. I said, actually, and I happen to have the phone on the story on my phone. And so I pulled it up and I read it to her. And she sat forward in a chair and she said, "That's one of the best children's books I've ever heard." And I was like, "Really? Are you sure about that?" And she said, "I'm serious. That is an amazing story. You need to get it published." And through a series of events, she connected me, like I said, this amazing illustrator, Sid Hutchison, who we connected online. And here we are, less than a year from connecting with that individual, and the book is out and it's ready, and it's doing so well. I am blown away. Everywhere that we go, people see the book, they see the artwork in the book, they hear the story. I did a reading last night. I think we sold last night. I think it was almost 40 books last night.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that's actually huge for an author, because usually when you go to events, and you guys know this, a lot of times, sometimes you lucky yourself 5.
Mm-hmm.
And people coming in, I know many authors who, they can't sell any. But every single event that we have been through, people see the book, they start reading through it, and they're like, "I want to get 1, I want to get 2, I want to get 3, I want to give it to this person over there. Or, I know people love the story." I mean, they're so captivated by the story. Last night, I believe that the Commerce Department came out. I mean, there's been the stories getting around all over the place. So this has been an extraordinary adventure, and people feel this story in ways that are unimaginable. So I'm really grateful that it's catching on the way that it is, and like I said, everywhere we go, people are jumping on board.
That's fantastic. And the timing is right, obviously, with Christmas around the corner. It makes a great gift. Where is it available? Where can people buy it?
So people can find the book actually on Barnes & Noble. Just go on, literally type in "The Great Christmas Heist," and it will pop up immediately. This is moving up the rankings very, very quickly. You can also go to my website, agreatchristmasbook.com, and there are links on there where you can actually purchase the book. Because I think it's also available on Amazon as well. And you can go to any bookstore in the country and ask them to order The Great Christmas Heist. They'll pull it up and they can have it delivered to you.
Great. Excuse me. And what age range is it for?
This book is for children ages 3 through 10 or 11. I spoke to several reviewers who looked and they said there was themes that are in here. I think that's why I'm so or why it's doing so well. If you think about it, Dr. Seuss, when you read his books, you have a very different perspective when you read it as an adult as you did as a child.
Sure.
As a child, it was very simplistic and whatnot. You enjoy the artwork and the storylines, and it's a lot of fun, and it's funny, and it's humorous. But as an adult, you read it and you come away with some very different perspectives. You realize, oh my goodness, there's some very deep lessons in these books. And that's what's happening with this one. When I read it yesterday, I actually read it to some kids who were 10 and 11 years old, and they were having a blast. They were laughing. Their parents were laughing. The grandparents were laughing. They were like, "Man, that is such a great book," and I'll take 3 of them. I mean, that's just what was happening. And so, and like I said, but the art really, because of the style of artwork, it brings back that classical feel with a contemporary twist that's really attractive to a broader age range.
Well, that's fantastic. Congratulations on your success so far with it, and I wish you all the success in the world moving forward. Obviously, we're getting closer to Christmas. I think, it's going to fly off shelves, so that's really great.
Thank you.
And earlier, you were talking about some of the other stuff you were writing. So what are you writing now? And tell us also about what you got planned for the future.
Absolutely. Well, I'm planning on getting back on the road somewhere in the future, and certainly getting back into public speaking. So I'm working on several projects. I'm working on another leadership and team development book, to really help guide people, because I see again a lot of divergence happening in our society, and I'm all about building people up. I'm all about equipping people. I'm all about inspiring people. So I'm working on several of those types of projects that are really designed to empower people. I was challenged last night to write another children's book, but I have to see if I can fit that into my already busy schedule and say, can you get another one done by next year? I'm like, we'll have to find out. I've already got a lot going on. But like I said, I'm working on several more leadership and team development books. And I'm also revamping a curriculum that I wrote several years ago when I was doing the leadership and team development for American Electric Power. I had a contract with them where I was training their leaders. And so I'm redesigning that curriculum to work not just with companies, but to work with families and individuals, to help families to learn to work together and to grow together and to flourish together and to begin to dream again together. Because I think there's a missing component of so many different families. So many families are just they're separated, and everyone's got their own vision and their own goal. And we should have vision, and we should have goals, and I encourage people to have that. But what can we do as a family? So I'm taking that particular curriculum, and as I said, I'm redesigning it so that families can do something spectacular to build a legacy, generational legacies that they can be proud of.
That's really interesting. What are some examples of that?
So some great examples of creating a legacy would be building a business. Could be one legacy that you have. You know, those lot of mom and pop joints have been kind of run out of town, and we see that a lot in a lot of big cities where they're struggling to meet the demands of the time and to compete with a lot of these corporations. Other legacy things could be creating not-for-profit organizations. What does that look like? Or it could be something as simple as doing family reunions, a successful family reunion that where you get together and you don't just get together just like hang out and just have a good time, and that's important. But you talk about the history of your family, what impacted grandma and grandpa and all these other individuals make, and how can that inspire us as a family to do great things together. So I'm a true believer that we need to get back to the fundamentals of family. I believe that part of the reason our society is in the condition that it is in is because of the breakdown in the family unit. And with the breakdown of the family unit, that has led to the breakdown in the community, because community is an extension of the family. And so you see all of these families that are split up, and then the communities are collapsing. We wonder why our children are struggling the way that they're struggling, because they don't have the support systems in place. You know, what's so amazing about how I grew up, and I wasn't, trust me, I was not the perfect kid. But I had people who were around me, not just family members, but I had people in the community who looked after me to make sure that I was doing the right thing. So if I was out there doing something I had no business doing, you best believe that Kevin from across the street and whoever it is down the street was going to come out, and they were going to say, now my nickname was JoJo, and they said, JoJo, now you know your mom, you know your grandma wouldn't want you out here doing that. And they would step in to support the values that your family was trying to instill in you. But now, because we're so separated, even within families, you got one parent is teaching the child one thing, the other parent teaches something else. The people in the community aren't really looking out for each other. So it's been a total disintegration of our society. And so I believe that part of my mission, part of my purpose in life is to try to guide people or inspire people to reach back into those things. Some traditional values, in our drive to progress, we've dismissed a lot of those things, and we've lost a lot of character and a lot of who we are. But there are some traditional values that are important to who we are as people. And if we let those things go, our society is going to continue to go downhill. So I want to inspire people to reclaim those things. They're extraordinarily important. And there are generations who are looking to us, who are really looking to us to step up our game.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that these new projects will help to inspire that.
Yeah, that's very ambitious and very important.
Well said.
I completely agree with everything you said. And, you also touched upon what our ancestors did, like what did grandma and grandpa do, and great grandparents. Right. And I think everyone, we all lose sight of what our family members did before us. And it's very important to know the history of our families. And I've often thought about how modern technology could actually help that, because now, there's so many more photos and videos and records of everything. We actually have that access. So it will be interesting to see what's going to happen 2-3 generations from now. Because if you go backwards, 2-3 generations prior to us, it's very, like our grandparents, maybe, or I'd say our great grandparents had maybe 5 photos. You know what I mean? But going forward, there's going to be 5,000, 50,000 photos of us. So it will be interesting to see. I'm hopeful that maybe people will get back into that, knowing what people did coming, before them.
Let me chime in for 1 second, just to kind of finish that point at Rob. I think I'm so passionate about that. I had a tremendous opportunity years ago. I'm not going to get to the whole story, but I had a wonderful opportunity years ago to meet a gentleman. He was an older gentleman. His family asked me to take care of him. And man, I love that guy like a brother. I didn't know him for a long time, but when I met him, he was already sick. And you pretty much knew that his time was coming. And so I would pick him up from his dialysis appointments, and we would sit in the car and we would talk for hours. And one thing I kept encouraging him to do was to create a legacy. I said, why don't you record some stories for your children, things to remember you by, things that are going to inspire them. And unfortunately, he passed away before we were able to get rolling on that project. And that impacted me because he was not an old guy. He was 70 years old. And so I look at that and I think about all the other people out there who don't have that type of legacy for their family. So it's important that we value family, we value our history. And again, my hope and my prayer is that this will inspire people to reclaim that.
Yeah, I think it will, for sure. Now, switching gears for a minute, you also write fantasy, right? So I believe you have a series called The Dragon Prince.
Yes. Oh, you found out about that. Somebody did research. Yes. So I'm actually going to also be revamping those books. Well, I wrote, my gosh, how long ago was it when I wrote The Dragon Prince? So that was primarily for teens and tweens. And I wrote that story. And again, very similar themes in everything that I write, But I wrote that because the premise of the story was about this young man who really, I won't give way too many details, but he's really a journey of self-discovery and discovering the power that is within him. And so he goes on this journey out trying to prove his worth, trying to prove his merit, trying to prove his value. And along the way, he discovers that there's a hidden power that's in him that he did not know existed. And I wanted to inspire these teens because many of them are on a very similar journey, not necessarily this fantastical journey, but they're in a journey in life. And they think about, look over there and I look over there and look over there, then maybe I'll discover who I am, or maybe something will give me a clue what direction I want to go in life. But the reality is, it's already been inside you the whole time. It just needs to be developed. You may need some people to come alongside you to help guide you along the right path. But that's the premise of that story and that particular series. My son is really getting into artwork, and so I've been challenging him, because I told him I want him to do some art for the actual books. And those are more like fantasy short novels. They're definitely not like the Christmas Heist. Those are definitely for kids who are going to be teenagers.
So YA, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yes.
When you're writing fiction, would you call yourself more of a pantser or a plotter? You know, do you outline or do you write by the seat of your pants?
I write by the seat of my pants. I think that with my particular style of writing, the goal, as I said initially, was to write in a way that allows people to read into it. I think when you are, there is an aspect of planning. Don't get me wrong. So there is a structure to it, but I go where the story takes me. I don't have necessarily an end in mind and try to create a story that's going to lead me into what I want the ending to be. I write in a way where it's like, okay, let's see what's going to happen here. And there are times I'm laughing like, wow, I didn't see that coming, because I'm just as engaged as the reader is. And so as I'm typing everything down, I was like, wow, that looks really good. Oh, man, I might say, oh, man, that doesn't look too good. I need to take that out. But I go where the story takes me. And particularly if you're writing things, whether it's, particularly when you're writing books about fantasy and adventure, those books are so much more appealing if you write in that way, rather than this is what I want to happen and there's no budging, there's no moving, this is what I want to happen, and I'm going to force this story to happen. I'm going to force it. You know this, and you know this with relationships, for those of you out there. You know, when you're in a relationship, relationships are so much better when you allow it to happen.
Organically.
When you go with the flow. Whenever you try to force it, there's always a problem, and you're getting pushed back, and you're like, man, this is just not working. So it's so much easier just to kind of go with the flow and let that happen, particularly with the fantasy books. I think when it's more of the leadership books, it's a little bit different, because there is a specific message or specific curriculum that you're developing that you want people to get some guidance from. But when you're dealing with fantasy and adventure, you go where the story takes you. Don't get locked into this has to be the way the ending is, or this is the way that it needs to flow. Let the story lead you.
Or the characters.
Exactly. Yes. Because you.
And what about you,
characters you never knew were there.
Yeah. Concetta, are you a pantser or a plotter?
So I'm going to say I'm a little bit of both. I plot out, you know, the way, at least the skeleton. I want my skeleton. I need to have a general idea of like the direction where it's going to go in. But as far as the ending goes, like, see, things take twists and turns all the time. Characters will write themselves, and they do things that I do not expect in the least. And it's like, and you try to guide them, and then they're defiant. They don't want to listen to you. So now I have a bunch of rambunctious kids, and they don't want to fucking listen, and, you know, it is what happens. And I've had the endings change on me, like, I don't know how many times, but I get there in the end, whether it's the original idea or not. So, I mean, I like to say it's a little bit of both. How about you?
I'm actually a very heavy plotter. Now, I totally agree with what both of you are saying, and that works into when I am actually outlining. But like for my last two books, I actually outlined them concurrently and probably had 70,000 words in
Yeah.
my outline alone
Yep.
for two books. But that's because like I knew where I wanted it to go and where I wanted it to end to have like a really satisfying ending that's also unexpected too. But to points, the journey of discovery and all the character arc and where the characters are going, that happens in my outlining process.
Right.
You know, there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever works for anybody as a writer in your. So I think we have about 9 minutes left, and my voice is definitely going. We might have to wrap this up.
You did so good, though.
You're doing well.
So good.
You're doing well.
For everyone in the audience, this is not how I normally sound, but the show must go on. Fortunately, I'm not singing. So, yeah, why don't we actually kind of wrap it up? And so let's see. So I'm supposed to thank both of you. So thank you so much, Concetta Otero and Joe Woodley. I appreciate you joining us here. And Joe, you are going to be the interviewer next time.
Yes.
So I'm not sure when that will be, but that'll be announced on the WordSleuth profile. And everybody out there, please, join the WordSleuth and our word improv community. You learn new words, participate in the word improv. Follow WordSleuth on Instagram. And if anyone would like to get involved in these Pass-the-Baton interviews, DM WordSleuth through Instagram. And of course, follow Joe, Concetta, and me. And why don't we just go around the horn, let everybody know what books you have out there, your social media platforms that you're on, and I don't know, wherever people can find your books and all that stuff. So, Concetta, why don't you start, and Joe?
Sure. You can find me here at the Wordy Woman 20. You can find me on Facebook at CM Guido. Those are my two main platforms for the time being. I tried NaNoWriMo. You can follow me there too. It was a bust. Threw my back out. Rob, what?
You threw your back out typing?
Yeah, no, I just hunched over and it was just like, oh man, just wrap me in bubble wrap. But
I didn't know that you could follow. I didn't know there was like a social media aspect in that NaNoWriMo. You can follow people. I knew there was a website. I thought it was like supportive kind of stuff. I've never done it, but yeah, I didn't realize that there was a social media aspect to it.
So in a way there is, like, you can add buddies. And I have a couple of buddies on there, but yeah, it's a great way. Even if you're not participating in November, you can just still challenge yourself. You can still challenge yourself to write the 50,000, however many words that you want to write. November, I know, is just the big highlight month, but it's open to any any time that you want to challenge yourselves. But if I may just piggyback, Rob, on what you were saying about the word improv community. It's a wonderful community. If you're looking for openness and people to be understanding, accepting, warm, welcoming, this is it. I know there's a lot of, catty gatekeeping, communities out there. And I got to say, from my experience of being part of this, there's been none of that. WordSleuth has been nothing but warm and welcoming. And everyone that I've been a part of the Pass-the-Baton interviews with has been talented and exceptional, and you guys are incredible. This interview tonight has been nothing short of amazing. Like, this has been an honor to speak with you both tonight. So thank you so much, for this opportunity for me to just sit here and just be like, like it's still it's still a wonderful thing. So gentlemen, thank you both for tonight.
Well, thank you, Concetta, and also thank you for filling in the gaps when my frog voice has been clogging up my throat here.
I got you.
But, yeah. Joe, your turn. Where can people find you? Where can people find your books? And all that.
Well, you can absolutely find, of course, my latest book, The Great Christmas Heist. You can find that on Barnes & Noble, agreatchristmasbook.com, amazon.com, and of course, any of your local bookstores can order it as well. You were born, this is what I was telling you before, but you were born to win, so suck it up, buttercup, the essential guide to turn the winners into winners and losers into leaders, excuse me, this is a long title. So, yeah, We got enough. Anyway, I'm not going to even go there. But you can do that, and like I said, you just type in my name on Amazon, Joe Woodley, Woodley, and certainly one of my books will come up. You can contact me on Let's Read at a greatchristmasbook.com. And I just want to really thank you guys for this opportunity. I was so excited about doing this. As I said, my schedule has just been insane over the last month. But this has proven to be a great community. And when I was going through the words and everything, it really challenged me. And I like that. I enjoy challenges. And so meeting you, Rob, and you, Conchetta, that just been absolutely just wonderful. It's been a wonderful interview, wonderful experience, and it felt like I was just chatting with just two friends.
Yes.
And I like that. And the fact that we're not trying to push anybody out, but the fact that we're all New Yorkers, yeah.
Drinks at a bar in Long Island.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
So this has actually been absolutely wonderful, and thank you, Sleuth. And like I said, I spoke with him the other day, and that was just absolutely just tremendous. So I'm looking forward to the next interview and doing much more in this community and learning from all of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that leaves it to me. I will close it out. Again, I am Rob Sanborn, author of Dual Timeline Historical Thrillers. This is my first book here that I happen to have next week called The Prisoner of Paradise. You can find me on basically any social media platform. Usually Rob Sanborn is my username. And I have a new book coming out on Tuesday called Master of the Abyss, which is the conclusion to this particular series here. So, and I think that pretty much wraps it up. So once again, Concetta, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting both of you and chatting with you. And Joe, I'm looking forward to watching, not participating, but watching. You are the next time. And Concetta, you as well when it's your turn.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So with that, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and an amazing holiday season.
All right. Have a great one, guys.
Happy holidays,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.